Trump did one of the wackiest interviews that he's done in a while on CNBC with Joe Kernan, was the main person, at least in the clips that I'll play for you, but the other hosts were there as well. And Kernan, so Trump handles it terribly. I guess to Kernan's credit, who's definitely in the campaign season was kind of Trump friendly and more supportive of him than Kamala. Even he was trying to fact check some of what Trump was saying, and it was just an utter train wreck. So if I'm not mistaken, this first clip is on the topic of Trump pushing out the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he doesn't like people getting accurate information on the state of the job market because it makes him look bad, because we're starting to see the cracks in the economy. And Trump gets fact checked on what I'm glad finally somebody fact checked him on this. But he keeps repeating this utter lie that the revisions in 2024 that revised down the jobs growth in the Biden economy happened after the election, as to push forward this conspiracy that now the former head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics was intentionally holding off on showing people the truth about the economy until after, which even after those revisions, you still had a really strong economy across the traditional metrics. And it's a lie. In August, before the election, August is before November, you had that revision happening in a time that was actually more damaging for Biden. So, or I guess at that point, was it? Yeah, Kamala. So it's a complete and total lie, and Trump just keeps repeating it.
On to your claim that revision helped Biden hurt you for the 800,000. It was in August. There was still plenty of time for voters to see that those weren't real jobs.
After the election in November, I believe it was in November something. There was a massive revision downward on
the
jobs.
First one, the 800,000 or 900,000, I think, was in August, and then later it came out in March of 2025. It went to 598, not 818, but the original one.
Well, listen, 598, but there were other revisions downward from prior to the election because the numbers were rigged. Okay. And as you said, the number, look, you take a look after.
Don't say okay, Joe. Okay. Well, no, it's not. You think it was, we know for certain it was well before the election in a time that was actually damaging for the Democrats. But that's what they do. Every so often, they revise the numbers after you get more data, obviously. And it just goes on and on and on.
And certainly suboptimal, but rigged? Where do you get the notion that it's rigged? Or do you have any evidence there?
It is antiquated, but it's also very political. And, I had an election recently where I did very well, won every swing state, won the popular vote, won everything, all right? Won all the counties. It's, I think, 87% of the counties were Republican up. That's never happened before. And yet I had to go through hell. And just days before the election, they put out numbers that it was like the country was on fire. It was doing so well. And then they did a revision about 2 weeks later. And the revision...
Come on, Cole. Come on, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Come on. Give it to me again. Give it to me like 3 times.
2 weeks.
You know he's pulling this out of his rear end because he used that figure. This is the state of politics now. There's no attachment. The viewers are going, yes, steamroll Kernan, woo! But there is tranches. It's not even difficult. Just Google 818,000 jobs revision and articles will pop up from before the election about that happening. Unless you think that a time traveler went back in time and put that there, or you weren't around. I remember that. I remember covering it. I probably have a video where I mentioned that. And he just says it. And I feel like, I don't know what hosts are supposed to do in this situation, but I guess you should just go, no, sorry. Oh, no, sorry. You keep repeating this. Sorry, we can't. Oh, no, we're going to have to end this interview if you aren't able to correct the record on that. And we don't even need to ask him, what is it? Mr. President, what is it? What evidence do you have? What is the philosophical framework by which you are determining that the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? We know he said it's because he didn't like the numbers. He said that on the record.
And they did a revision about 2 weeks later, and the revision was down by almost 900,000 jobs. You remember that? And I said, I said, what would have happened? What would have happened if I lost? Think of it. I would have said they gave phony numbers and then they revised them a week and a half later.
Joe, it's like a sputtering engine. But just talk. Just start talking with your mouth, please. Okay. He needs to, I don't know. I thought of this joke, but I don't even know how to connect it. So I'm just going to throw it out, okay? Trump made that weird comment about how Caroline Leavitt's lips are like a machine gun. You need to have better machine gun lips so you can talk better, Joe? Boom.
You can talk for that.
While we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. It's free. Wapa chow. And then if you want to go a step further, this is not free, but the join button is there somewhere, or you can look in the description. There's a member link. Boom. And some people are like, oh, I don't like the clickbait. I get it. I promise I hate it more than you having to title every single individual story and then publish on YouTube by itself and then right. You can get completely void of that by becoming a member. You get the bonus show, which is extra content, but then all of the normal content we publish on the channel gets rendered in just a one long form video, so you can just watch it all at once. And it's just titled as the date. You don't gotta worry about clickbait. Yeah.
Elaine Chao was on yesterday, and I know, she was, I think she was labor secretary for 8 years under Bush 2, and she was your transportation secretary as well. And she said, the commissioner doesn't really even get involved with the actual minutia of putting all these things together. And there's no way that it could have been, that she could have chosen to rig these numbers to make them look bad. And these are statistical changes based on this antiquated system, and it's just a big leap to go to rigged. And then it also, Mr. President, it makes anyone you pick is going to be, critics are going to say, hey, he's picking a guy that's going to give him or a gal that's giving him the numbers that he wants. So it undermines confidence in the system to some extent. You had, according to many people, all the rights in the world to try to replace a commissioner when hasn't gotten any better. But that is maybe a bridge too far, according to most people.
Well, I think when somebody says the commissioner is not involved, I don't want to get into any arguments with anybody. Why should I? She's a very nice woman.
Exactly.
But when they say that that nobody was involved, that it wasn't political, give me a break. Look, before the election, I had this massive outflow of beauty for Biden. I mean, he didn't know he was alive. And for Biden, the economy was roaring. It was a beautiful thing. And I said, there's no way this is happening. It's going the opposite direction.
Okay, the interview somehow gets even more interesting, but that's the jobs portion, so we can move away from that. But this whole interview, I was having the thought about Joe Kernan. He keeps laying out kind of thoughtfully like a rational person. Hey, a lot of people are saying we had Elaine Chao on. They're saying that firing the commissioner, it doesn't make any sense because you're just losing confidence in the accuracy and independence of these numbers, especially when you're admitting that the reason that you're getting rid of her is after a bad jobs report, but you were actually touting these exact same numbers, and the statisticians that are gathering this data aren't actually the one that you fired. She's just kind of overseeing it. And don't you understand that there's this important... And I'm trying to think of an example that isn't offensive to people, but like imagine somebody is taking some wild psychedelics. Okay, what did we decide? Like, I don't know the psychedelics well enough, but like one of the real good ones, right, that really sends you into another orbit, and they're like, I don't know, is that cool? And they're like, there's a dragon breathing fire in my face and I'm gonna go charge at it. And then you're sitting there like, okay, well, from the standpoint of the dragon breathing fire, what is it in terms of the compound that you're experiencing hitting you that is, and we're back, wow, we blacked out for a second, that is making you, do you think the best approach to this is swinging at the dragon as opposed to getting a bow and arrow and shooting it that way? And then a sober person's I'm sticking my hand down the throat of the dragon and I'm grabbing its heart. And you're like, okay, well, what if you used like one of those things when people die? It's like, and you do that to the dragon. Is there one of those near you? you would look at the sober person, you'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you speaking to them like any of what they're saying makes any sense? You're acting like they're tripping out. Chill. Remind them that they're on drugs. And that's what this conversation is. He's like, so if you look at the way that the economy and Trump's like, rah, 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 I see a dragon.
You're Willie Nelson High.
It's rigged. It's rigged. These conversations don't make any sense anymore. It's the guy sitting next to you. This was the example I was going to give, but I felt like I could get into offensive territory. Sitting next to you on the subway, the notorious example, he's going a little bit loco. And you're like, oh, wow, I get that you really want to rub my crotch, but like, would it be better if you rubbed my thigh? It's like, you're speaking rationally to an utterly irrational person. Stop touching my crotch, damn it. That's the response. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. President, you've talked about you want success, not retribution. The Justice Department now...
See, I'm so mad right now. Mr. President, you talked about how you want success, not retribution. Except for all the things he said he wants to do and he's doing about retribution, Joe. You can't wish your way into him being more rational. Yeah, I know you really just want success for the country. You don't care about retribution. Really? He just got his Department of Justice to investigate the Obama conspiracy. Oh, you want success, not retribution. Everyone, Dr. Phil would do this. You don't have time for, I don't know his accent. You don't have time for retribution. You don't, what did he say? You got to get right, not get back or something. Shut up, Dr. Phil. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. President, you've talked about you want success, not retribution. The Justice Department now tapping a grand jury to look into the intelligence community's assessment of what was happening with Russia. Is that you have nothing to do with directing the Justice Department?
No, I have nothing to do. Pam is doing a great job. I have nothing to do with it. I will tell you this. They deserve it. I was happy to hear it. I actually read it just like you did. I have nothing to do with it. But what they did in the election, what they did in even the last election, but it was too big to rig. But what they did in the 2020 election is grotesque. I mean, that was a rigged election, 100%.
Okay, we can't relitigate that. We can't relitigate that.
No, we're back to rigging again. Well, you can use it because everyone knows.
Yeah,
you know what? A year ago, you would have been upset if I said it. Today, it's different. I say it all the time. It was a rigged election. It was 100% rigged.
We can't relitigate because it.
And I'm sure that's going to be brought up
independent sources, too. Even your Justice Department. But then I'm bringing up Bill Barr. But even they decided that there were things that happened, but nothing that would have swayed it.
Well, they were wrong, and Bill Barr was wrong, and Bill Barr didn't investigate, and he should have. And why didn't Bill Barr give why didn't he give the Derma report? Why didn't he give that report? The stuff that's in there, that's all this stuff is coming out of it. Why didn't he give it?
What did he call it?
Give the Derma report.
The Derma report? Durham is the name. The Derma. Derma from Burma.
Why didn't he give the Derma report? Why didn't he give that report? The stuff that's in there, that's all this stuff is coming out of it. Why didn't he give it earlier? I mean, why did it take so long to...
He's just a rambling man on the subway. That's not... He does... the funny thing is, Joe Kernan goes, you've talked about how you want success, not retribution. And so, like, you didn't direct this investigation into Obama, right? Why do you embed all that into your question? You didn't do this, right? No, the question is, you did this, right? He did do it. As shown by Joe. Again, I appreciate him saying the election wasn't stolen. Woo! He goes, well, we can't relitigate the whole thing from the standpoint of just say it with your chest, Joe. But what is happening? This is so weird. But Trump publicly said, I want Obama to be investigated for framing me with Russia. And we've debunked those lies that Trump is telling. He said that publicly on video. So he did direct publicly in front of everyone. No, but did you do it behind the scenes? Why would he need to? He said Pam Bondi needs to look into this. That he's her boss. So she did it. Now she's doing it. Okay. Then he claimed at one point in this clip that his approval rating is 70%. He has his lowest approval rating in the high to mid 30s. He has his lowest approval rating of the second term, and the lowest of any president at this point, other than himself the first time. and he says he has his highest. Not even right-wing pollsters don't get that result.
Something else. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, a record that they say won't be beaten unless I run again.
Are you going to run again? The
No,
Constitution
probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
And you're not going to fire Jay Powell. We'll go all talk about all the stuff that.
Hey, Becky, I'd like to run. I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. You know why? Because people love the tariffs, and they love the trade deal, and they love that foreign countries aren't ripping us off anymore. For years, they ripped us off, friend and foe. And the friend was worse.
Overall poll numbers, you don't have the best you ever had in overall poll numbers. You do. I cited one of those.
I have the best poll numbers I've ever had.
Among Republicans.
I have poll numbers where I'm 71%. I have the best poll numbers.
Those are among Republicans.
No. Among Republicans, I'm at 94 and 95%. No, I'm talking about generally. I have the. Let me put it this way: there was a gentleman on Harry Emden yesterday on CNN.
Harry Enton, John Durham, and Harry Inham. Harry Inema. Wait, what's the word for that thing that you put in your and it you know what I'm saying? The thing that goes in your and it
laxative?
No, it's in that vein. It's fine. I'll think of it. It's the in a.
And he went crazy over how well Trump was doing. Now, you don't put that on because I think CBS is a shade. Actually, CNN's a shade better than NBC. I think NBC is probably the worst of them all. But if you check CNN tomorrow, watch Harry Emden, and you'll see about the numbers. But that's okay. We have to.
Yeah, enemas. Yeah. Thank you. Look at these goofballs next to me.
Defend ourselves, Joe.
I know, but there are.
Okay, whatever. You get the point. He's saying he doesn't. And Harry Enton wasn't saying that Trump has high approval. Harry Enton just did a segment about how Trump is he did a whole joke. It was funny. He was like, and ready for this? The person who's the only president as unpopular as Trump at this point in his presidency is Trump in his first term. He talked about that. What Trump's responding to is Harry Enton did a segment about how Trump is like the most influential. He's been the most influential in his first term so far, which I agree with that. Trump has been hella influential. Doesn't mean it's good. It's not, but he's influenced a lot. And then this clip, for obvious reasons, sparked a lot of curiosity. Trump says that undocumented immigrants work in certain industries better than other people because of something naturally that they do better, and their back doesn't break or something.
Back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody. These people you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it?
Huh?
What the hell was that?
Now, no, the reason why undocumented workers end up being in certain industries in high numbers, and as he's talking about farmers saying they're really reliable, is because of circumstantial, what they left and what they're seeking in the United States, circumstantial variables, not something natural, as he's saying. something biological. It is true that if, like he originally proposed, you just deported everyone, regardless of their track record in the United States, then you would have an economic nightmare because those jobs wouldn't be filled because of circumstantial environmental factors. Their back doesn't break, they die. And this is the reason why, of course, we should have border security. Ideally, we'd only have lawful immigration, and we should have extensive lawful immigration. And then for people who've been here a really long time, there needs to be an option for them if they've proven themselves to have a good track record. And that option should give them a legal pathway to immigration status. One of the reasons is because kind of what he's alluding to there with they can't have a back problem, otherwise they'll die, is that exploitation can be so brutal for people who their employers know that if they ever do anything they don't like, they can just report them. And so they should have those legal protections. A part of why reform, which Republicans are super opposed to, along with border security, is really important. Share your thoughts in the comments.